And while we're doing that, let's start our timer, and then we'll let it go in terms of, okay, ready? Oh yeah. Hey, as a matter of fact, I seen Bill this week, and I mentioned to him, hey, we're loving the theme. We're loving the theme.
Hopefully everyone else is too.
Yes.
Alright, shall I start the intro?
Let it rip.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to issue number 10 of the Thursday Comics Podcast. I am your host, Dennis Osbourne, accompanied by, like always, Wallace Ryan.
Hello there, Dennis.
And how are you today?
Oh, not too bad, except for this ear infection that I have, making me all wobbly and stupid, right?
With everything on the go in the world right now, there's not really any new comics to talk about or anything like this, so we figured we'd just do almost like a news bulletin, a news update.
Yeah, a little chitty chat here.
And then we'll probably each, explain what we've been up to the last week and self-isolation. Well, I'm still working, so partial self-isolation.
Yeah, partial, yeah.
So we'll do that, so.
Yeah, well, I guess what will we start off with? Will we talk about what the companies, in terms of the news, how the companies are responding to
Sure.
COVID? Okay, will you?
So
launch it.
With the last podcast we did, I think DC were, let's say, threatening to do other outlets of distribution, or they're going to release new comics digitally first, and all companies have since kind of not gone along with that. Marvel, DC, and Image, and they announced they will release collections digitally and digital first comics, but as for new comics, they are holding off on those entirely.
Yeah, and I think they got the message from the comic book stores, and that look, don't go tossing us to the dogs just because of a month or two of missing comics. It's like I keep saying to people, they built the industry, so let's not screw them.
Right. The direct market saved the comic industry in early 80s?
Yeah.
70s,
70s into the 80s. Because, it was, it was floundering. Newsstand wasn't doing it, and when once direct markets came in, it was doing it quite fine, right? You get your titles every month, right? Yeah. Not like in the old days when you'd be, all the early X-Men right up to, 97, and then next thing you don't get 98.
Right.
Oh, man, it used to just drive me crazy. So yeah, definitely, right?
And direct market actually created the back issue market.
For
comic books. And made certain comics more valuable. Yeah. Which in turn kind of raises the brand power of a certain character or title and such and such.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Which is all important in the end, so.
Yeah, for sure. But so I mean, there are some companies that seem to be, doing the right thing anyway. I'm glad to see that, right?
Yeah. Now Marvel said they're doing that for now.
Yeah.
And that just means they don't want to set anything in stone. I mean, if all this lasts until May, June, or July, I mean, I can see them doing this until May, June, or July.
Yeah.
And your comic books set to be released in April will just get released in July.
Yeah.
And you just wipe out the last 4 months. And you just start.
Yeah. You're just backing up and starting all over again. Yeah. So it's like taking a pause, right?
That's it. And it'll give us a chance to, save some money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Save your money for your comics. Right?
You gotta save wisely. Right? I just put my comic book allocated money aside, and hopefully now when say July, everything's back to normal, they're not going to release April, May's, June's, and July's books at once. They just slide everything down.
Yeah, they better not, or they'll just be met with a lot of angry people at comic book stores all over, And not only that, it'd be shooting themselves in the foot too.
Right.
Because you're just putting out too much, and then what do you do the next month? The next thing you'll always have that bulk of comics that's eating up your new, what could be new comics for you, right?
And that automatically affects the comic stores.
Yeah.
Because if you're suddenly getting 20 titles a month and they forcibly send out 80, you might only have the money.
Yeah, exactly.
For 20, and then you have 60 left over, then 20 the next month, and if you can scrounge a couple more, you might still have another.
Yeah, just an out-and-out nightmare is what it would be.
I mean, the retailers then already have those comics paid for.
Yeah.
And they're sitting on them in their stores, essentially dead stock because of a reserve list.
Yeah.
And people, especially just starting to go back to work, just can't afford to.
No.
So they had to be smart when they gradually start re-releasing those delayed comic books.
Yeah. Think about the end user, about your dyed-in-the-wool fan, and just your average. Yeah, it's just all they gotta do is put themselves in the same boots as the collectors and the readers, and they'll realize, this would be the better way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming that they wouldn't be that stupid to do that, right?
And I know we got listed here DC's failure at an alternate distribution system.
Yes.
Which I think they said they were going to look into that, and that died in a hurry.
Yeah. Well, it's we talked about this, of course, before, and it's from a business point of view, who would want to start up a business that in 2 months or 3 months from now suddenly you'll have to close down?
Yeah.
Because just the logistics of it all, of setting up all this thing, hiring all these people and all that, and then have to fire them three months later, just don't make sense. And it's just like, well, what if they want to set up their own Diamond? Well, that's fine, but Diamond's still going to be there, I think, when this is all over. And if you try to take on Diamond, what will happen is what's happened to everyone else we already did that in the 90s. We had the distributor wars, and Diamond, they won, right? So and they'll come back and they'll. Well, it'll just be hard. It'll be hard for even DC or Marvel individually to compete with them, and one of them will break and go with Diamond anyway. I think because if DC forms their own distributor, Marvel's going to say screw them. I'm going to go with we'll go with Diamond. That way we get the front of the catalog all the time, and everything like that, right?
Another big aspect would be, which we talked about off air, would be Diamond, depending on how much you spend, offer larger and larger price breaks.
Yeah.
If you're split up between 2 or 3 different distribution companies, your price breaks for that title for that company are going to be less and less.
Yeah, less profitable.
Less profitable for all the retailers.
Yeah.
And even if it's a 5 or 10%, that's a 5 or 10% profit loss for comic book retailers, which is astounding.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not good, right?
No.
Some people say, oh, well, it's only that amount, but with this business, it's just like you got to give the store owners as much leeway as possible.
My God.
The more percentages you cut off them, the more you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. It's just like, boys, come on, really, you're getting a good price for your comics now, because comics are dirt cheap anyway, right? So they're going to make money off them anyway. It's just like, come on, take care of the people who are in the frontline trenches for you, all right?
Right. You got to look after the comic, and especially now. And don't worry about DC that's owned by Warner Brothers. Don't worry about Marvel that's owned by Disney.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even really worry about Diamond. As much.
Yeah.
They're still a massive distribution company.
I even see one there today. I think this is the end of DC, and I laughed. I said, "What are you on drugs?"
Right.
They're exactly what you just said. They're part of Warner Brothers. Marvel is owned by Disney. They ain't going anywhere any day soon, right?
And there was a rumor going around a while ago that Disney could potentially buy DC or something like this. And
do you think Warner Brothers would sell DC to them? Of course not. It's a cash making machine.
Right.
Batman alone, right?
Even if you take away the comics, you're still getting the TV shows and that money. You're getting the movies, which not as well as Marvel, but they still make money.
Exactly.
You're getting toy lines and toy licenses, and it's all additional revenue that adds up.
Yeah.
As long as it's making money, they'll keep it.
Yeah. Warner. I mean, I don't think they'll ever sell it because it's one of their few divisions. I bet you always made money.
Always.
Because I mean, the comic sales since the 70s. When did they buy it? Was late 60s, early 70s they bought it into them, or anyway, it's always made money for them. As a matter of fact, it appeared to me that basically Warner used to just let DC do whatever the fuck they wanted.
Yeah.
And so that's why they didn't care about any Vertigo titles or any million moms group on Facebook coming to them saying, "Oh, we don't like something." They just look at them and they're counting their money and like, "Excuse me, get the fuck away from me. We're counting our gobs of cash here that we're making off this, right?"
Well, you have a character like, say, Superman.
Yeah.
Superman is probably the most easily recognized character in the world.
Yeah.
I think there was a thing, and he was like top 5 all time most recognizable images, and like Jesus was on that list.
Yeah. And Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse
was up there too.
Jesus.
Batman, I would say goes up there with him. Was like in the animated series.
Right.
There's no Batman credit that comes across the scene, and I say to the kids, "You know why that is?" And they say, "Why?" You know, that they never put up Batman the animated series behind him as the lightning strikes. I said, because how many of you in this classroom here don't know who this guy is?
Right.
And no one puts up their hand.
No.
I said, there you go.
But you look at symbols. I think it was a symbol thing, not so much characters.
Yeah.
And I can't remember references offhand. But it was like Mickey Mouse, Star of David, it was the Catholic Cross, and a Superman logo.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because you can see the Superman logo and you know what that is. That is instant brand recognition.
Yes. Yeah. And you just can't buy that these days.
You can't buy that anymore now.
No. Not with that much impact. It's they're icons are what you're buying then, right?
Well, they're modern gods.
Yeah.
It's
modern mythologies. Exactly.
And
exactly.
You can't buy that now.
No.
You can't buy the rights. You can't buy the rights to the Bible. Now I'm not comparing Superman to Jesus.
Yeah. Before you get your.
There's analogies there with like Moses and stuff like that, but we'll ignore that.
Yeah. It's modern. It's modern mythology. There are new gods, right? That's why I always liked that title. I thought that was radical in the 70s, even then.
So what else have we got on the list?
We actually do have a list here.
We actually have a list, right? We prepared 5 minutes in advance this time. There was a death of a famous artist.
Yes, okay. Lead it off here.
So, I actually, not the best at pronouncing his name. You know him better than I.
Juan Jimenez.
Juan Jimenez. Artist, humanoids artist.
Yeah.
And did, I think, Meta Barons?
I do believe he did, yeah. And he's done other stuff, too. Yeah. I've seen throughout the years. I mean, absolutely wonderful artist.
Oh, my God, yes.
And I was so sad. So far, I think he's, as far as I can think of, I can't think of any other comic book artist to fall, to die from COVID. I know now if there's any who have it, that could be for all we know. But he's the first one to.
He's the first high-profile comic name. So
yeah, to fall to it. So so condolences to all his fans and. Family, and he's going to be missed.
Yeah, and we said before, so a lot of those artists get rights to sales on their books. Like, check him out. Check out his library. Of collections. Best thing you can do if you ever want to support someone like that. In troubling times, buy one of their books. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
and that's it. Another book gets reordered, and they get residuals.
Yeah, and I'm sure that with some of these, a lot of cases, sometimes you'll see
like a GoFundMe or something set up
for the family or whatever. Yeah. So if you're a really big fan, you can always check that out, see if that's been started, and it all helps, right?
Oh my God, yes. So we have listed here that there's no change so far to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, which is now it is pretty. It's late enough in the year. I can see why they're keeping their powder dry.
Right.
I mean, with Pure Comics now, we haven't announced. That it's canceled or what, but it obviously ain't going ahead in this June. But now, once this is all over and I get to talk with Amy down at the Anna Templeton Center, and if they wanted to go ahead in the fall with the Pure Comics, then we'll go ahead then.
Yeah. No
problem. And I suspect the same is true with San Diego. There's just so much riding on it and all that. And if everything's fine like that, and they're after having canceled too far in advance.
Yeah.
And it turns out August is fine. Everyone's out dancing in the street, and that you know you want to kill yourself, right?
Yeah.
Jeez, here we are. We gotta have something to do, boy. Once this COVID thing breaks, too. That's the other thing, right?
And you can do it smarter too. I mean, you gotta be smart with a thing that gets hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
That's an issue. If it's you'll gradually see the numbers increase. It's like no more than 5, then it might be no more than 10 or 15.
Yeah.
But large scale events like that could be tricky for a while.
Yeah. Now they might. I could see that maybe, and what I think would be a good thing would be to have it over a longer period of days.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of just a weekend, start it on Thursday or even a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And have limited passes for each one of those days.
Right. If you break down days by movie panel day, and then you have like the certain comic books and a certain day for vendors or something like this.
And not only that, for lineups for certain things, limit lineups.
Well, I would say even if the artists and the writers and stuff just do pre-con commissions and sketches, and then they'll draw it for you online. They'll be in contact with you. You can probably go down that day.
Not only that, in San Diego, you know, one other thing I thought, because it's, what is it? Is it August in San Diego?
August, yeah.
They could have signings outside.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know, find some parking lots, or even down, have on one of the beaches down there where you know, they got beautiful beaches in San Diego. I've never been to a con, but I've been to San Diego. Absolutely stunning beaches. So you could have artists, you know, they could set up a thing. It'd be a real thing too in terms of bringing the comic arts out onto the streets, stuff like that. That's like when we restart. I'd love to have and this is one thing I'd always have a jam, our comic jam, like out on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Pull out the tables and set them up outside there and draw out there. Right?
Like actual street art.
Yeah,
but you're not drawing on walls or sidewalks. You're just drawing on paper.
Yeah. Well, this month actually is the first time in over 10 years that we haven't had a comic jam.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we just celebrated exactly 10 years. Our last one was our 10th year anniversary, right? So second to last one. But so yeah, more than 10 years. So and I can tell some of the people are already jonesing for some comic books.
Oh, yeah. And the socialization too. I mean,
well, exactly, yeah.
There's only so much you can do. Now, people should still stay inside and self-isolate.
Yeah.
But I mean, you get used to doing that. I used to going down to the comic shop every Wednesday or Thursday and buying books.
It's part of life.
People's lives are built around routine.
Yeah.
When you interrupt that, it takes a while to adjust and figure out what to do with yourself and with your time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have hobbies.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's
you're
a big
right
thing
there too.
We're lucky that we have a hobby that
consumes us so.
that is self-isolating. I said
yes.
Comic books is the one medium that you really can't share with anyone else.
No.
Because you're imagining the voices and you're imagining the scenario. I know they're panels, but you're imagining the layout and the scene and the environment in your head.
Yeah.
No matter what, you can't share that with anyone. You can do your best.
No. Yeah, exactly. Unless you were narrating it
right,
and they were looking over your shoulder, which no one likes. Right?
No, but it's an intimate experience and an intimate hobby.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. I can't think of sculptures or everything else can be displayed and put up there. Well, it's like books too. Books would fall into a similar type of category. But with books, at least you can read books out. You can do a reading of a book or something like that.
But if you read a book out loud, like an audiobook, and we're listening to it right now, what you're picturing in your head is entirely different to what I'm picturing in my head.
Exactly.
And no matter what, you can't share that. You can do your best, but it's a million people could listen to that, and you will have a million different versions of that audiobook or that comic book.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's funny, that's one thing I have been doing more of since this outbreak is listening to audiobooks.
Right.
I mean, I'm still reading my comics and all that, but like when I'm working or whatever, I usually play cartoons in the background when I'm working all the time. But recently I've taken to audiobooks. Like I listen to all the Lovecraft stuff I could, H.G. Wells. I'm currently re-listening to The War of the Worlds again, right? So that's kind of fun, and you're right too. It's like someone's reading it to you. So you do, and in some ways it's even easier because you can just sit there and let the words wash over you and imagine things and stuff like that, right?
Well, I always say, especially with comic book movies, I love comic book movies, but they're not my vision of a certain comic book story or event.
Exactly.
It is the writer's vision. It is the director's vision of that story. Even with a comic book. You have the same story, and say it's drawn by Kirby, Steranko, Sal Buscema, and Gil Kane. You give them, like, the Marvel method, Stan Lee gives them the plot, you are getting 4 completely different stories.
Yeah. And, you know, good example of that, of course, is with Conan. Think of the Tower of the Elephant.
Oh, yeah.
The Smith version. Very different from the Buscema Akela version. I don't know if they did that in the Dark Horse.
They did.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, totally different. That was Carrie Nord and Kurt Busiek.
Yes, okay, that's it, yeah. And I mean, one of my favorite stories, I still have a leaning towards the Barry Windsor Smith one, but the Buscema Akela one is just so beautifully done. So it does work on it still work. They all still work for me.
Right, and that's what I love about collecting comics. Everybody has their own unique vision when reading it, and yes, you can see the pictures, but when you see Spider-Man swinging from panel to panel, you can imagine the in-between of those panels. You're completing the story in your head.
Well, it's closure. That's a big thing in comics. A lot of people don't realize that as they're reading it. Closure is very important, and we use it, especially when reading comics all the time. Well, we use it when we watch films, too, and or TV, whatever. But it's very important with comics.
Oh, yes.
And, well, speaking of reading, one thing that I've been doing, besides catching up on my lettering for me and Paul's project, is been reading some poems, love poems.
Yes.
Yeah, I figured, okay, what can I do that's slightly different? You know, because I figure, okay, I got the show in the Library of Graphic Literature, which, for instance, this week I just took some books off the shelf, and I'm talking about the collection now for the next couple of months until I go absolutely insane, right? Well, yeah, I started to pick love poems. Shakespeare, E.E. Cummings, Maya Angelou, and I figured this is just something really different. And I posted them to my own Facebook page, but I have been posting them to the Library of Graphic Literature group too. Just say, hey folks, here you go, a love poem for you. You know,
there you go.
Hopefully this will make you feel better, all right?
It's just a positive beacon of light, a beacon of hope.
Exactly. And if it does make you feel better, I hope it makes you feel worse.
There you go. Right?
Because you're single, like me.
Another thing I got listed really quick. So I got Joe Kuber School offers comic art lessons free for kids.
Yes.
Did I read that?
No, I like that. It's and once again, this is the great thing about in times of trouble. Mother Mary comes through. Now, in times of trouble like this, it's great to see communities gather around each other, and comic book community, although worldwide, is still very tight.
It is.
And the fact that the Kuber School would do something like this, would step up and offer, not only that, but it's good for the art form too.
Oh yes.
Because you're help if you can spread the knowledge to me, because as you know, I teach art myself. Teaching art to me is like teaching magic.
Yeah.
And you're able to, because in the old days, I'm sure drawing would have seemed almost magical. You're catching the spirit in this drawing, which I still feel that in some ways, and that's why I love teaching comics. I've been teaching for 20 years, and each class is just as exciting as the last class for me.
Oh yeah.
I've been in some classes where I had teachers who couldn't give a two-dog fuck about what they were teaching.
They're there for a paycheck.
They were falling asleep halfway through. It's just like, how can you live with yourself? I would have slit my wrist years ago if I didn't like doing this. But it's passing on. as what I say to people, it's spreading the gospel of comics.
Yeah.
And this is what Joe Kubert is doing by doing this. Is they're really helping out some young artists out there, and this this could be something that produces the next Mobius or the next Neil Adams or Jack Kirby. Who's to say? But it's the fact that they're putting out there looks great on you, folks. Joe Kubert and family and the business itself, the school. Way to go.
Yeah, you get one person, one child who gets into it and becomes a professional artist. It's worthwhile.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just a free basic lesson on drawing.
Yeah,
I guess it's just standard figures and maybe layouts, and it's perfect.
Well, it's like working with Paul. It's I love it because Paul was one of my first students years and years ago, and that was actually one of the things I always thought of when I was teaching. It was just like I really, and same reason behind the jam with Paul, and we did it together to spread it and to get more people, because the more people we can get into doing it, the bigger the scene we can create here in St. John's. So I mean, right now we got myself doing comics professionally. We got Mike Feehan, who also I do believe took my course, Eisner nominated artist. And there are a lot of other people coming up through our system, right? Through our franchise here, right? And us Newfoundlanders, we're going to be kicking ass pretty soon when it comes to comics, right? We're pretty soon. This will be like the new Seattle for comics in a few years. I fear, because after teaching comics to that many people, I got to get a few more out of it, right?
And it's a smaller community. Everyone is more involved with one another.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to a massive university of art and then you get a degree and then you're just out in the wild looking for work.
Exactly.
It is a smaller art community, and it's based out of love and respect, and everyone can just rely on one another and relay ideas off one another.
Yeah. Well, it's like with, as a matter of fact, tonight I'll be getting on line with Paul and Mike and a bunch of Newfoundland cartoonists and writers and all that from actually around the world, because there are other people who get involved, and we just chat about it. Sometimes people post what they're working on, stuff like that, or chat on it, and they put up the whiteboard, and people can give you advice if they want, which is great. That's why I love having Paul over to the here to the studio and doing the thing here, because I can hold up and say, "What do you think, Paul? This blah blah blah," and he can say yes, or it sucks, or kill yourself, or whatever. But it's great, and him the same way around. Is this working for me, Wallace? I'll look at it. Yes, it is. Right. It's great to have that cross fertilization going on. Right.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
So last topic we got listed was the auction for the 40,000 DC comic sale.
I mean, holy shitballs, right?
Which we were talking about. We don't know how much it's going to go for. We said about
estimate
about 5
million. Okay.
Some maybe
10. We're putting it out there. If any of you are out there saying now, what the fuck is the matter with those two? Yeah. Are they insane? I think we're right.
Well, because you're buying the collection from 30. I say you're buying a collection from about 1935 to about.
It's 2014, I think, is the end date.
But really, I'm going to tell about, say, mid-70s.
Yeah, really, in terms of valuable.
That's valuable comics and the key things. After that, most comics are easily available from the 80s up.
Yeah, still to this day.
99% of them are. There's some odd key issues kicking around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even for comic books in the 50s and 60s and even in the 70s of, say, Batman, when you get into the later runs, unless it's like